Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everybody. Hello, fellow internet densians. How are we doing? This is the Tech Off Topic podcast. If you have no idea what it's about, well, you're probably not going to get a better idea by me talking. This this one's going to be a bit different, purely because for the first time we're going to have two guests on one camera. So I'm not going to, if one of them is talking, I'm not going to be able to shut the other one up. Now you can probably guess which one it's going to be when I actually introduce them. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one because these are people I am very proud to have said that can say have been friends of mine for a few years, and they are lovely people. They've even helped me out in a few pinches in the past. So yeah, you're probably going to guess who it is, mainly because I've already put it all over social media. So so I'm just going to drag them in and let them say hello for themselves. Say hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm the chatty one.
Can't shut him up. Cannot shut him up.
Smooth.
It's like there's no way of me like explaining my side without sounding like a grumpy old man as part of this.
That's fine. I'm a grumpy old man as well. People are very interested in this.
You both sit in that category. Can we just like agree with that?
The difference is you swear less than me. You have a better customer service voice.
It's my phone voice. I put it on just for this.
So introduce yourselves.
Okay. So, shall I go first?
You go first.
Surprise! I just jumped straight in there. I'm Hannah. Hello. And I'm one of the co-founders of the Fusion Hub, the Fusion Group. And yeah, that's me.
And I am Andy, who is the other co-founder of the Fusion Group. There you go, Mike.
It's like, what is the Fusion Group? Do people have a clue what this is? Remember, this is the internet. This is not just Birmingham.
So true. So true. Okay, so Fusion Group is the official name. The Fusion Hub is the website because we've got everything there. So the Fusion Group is made up of three silos, three areas that we're really passionate about. So first of all, we have the Fusion Talent, which is recruitment, specifically for IT professionals, which we have done for too long. So long. And then we have the events, which is our wonderful Fusion Meetup, which is a tech event. It's like is it a meetup? It's like a quarterly. I can't really call it a mini conf. It's just like it's just a lot.
I'd say it's somewhere between a meetup and steroids and a conference that fell over halfway.
That's the best way to describe it. So yeah, that's Fusion Meetup, and then the third element to Fusion Group, which is like maybe like the newer stuff, is Fusion Workshops. So that's us. We are like.
That's actually been longer than you think now, though. You think about the first one we did, it's probably back towards the start of the events as well.
It was 2016 with Troy Hunt.
Yeah, big name to start with.
I know.
No pressure.
Successful execution though, so success.
Yeah, we owe a lot to Phil at the Ticket Sellers for that.
Yeah, Phil was like a huge help.
Who's actually, I think he's now CEO of Ticket Sellers.
He is now CEO of Ticket Sellers. Yay! Go Phil! Yeah, but Troy was awesome. Troy was like so great to work with.
But anyone that's run workshops understands the initial, this is what's going to cost, you need to get people type scenario. And us thinking, that's a lot of money to spend if we can't find anyone to come to them. But luckily, his name sort of sold itself really, which was good for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So the Fusion Group is not how it started, because I remember you with your friendly little office in the Big Peg, nowhere near where you lived. Actually, barely spending any time in that office, to be brutally honest. I never saw you at the office. It was always pub, coffee shop, or meetup.
Yeah, but we were in the jewellery quarter. So, like, as great as the office was, you're literally surrounded by all these really awesome places to go. And because we were literally right in the centre, it was kind of like a no-brainer.
I spent so much money at Urban Coffee, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a shame the owner's a bit of a expletive insert here. Hey, I'm trying to not swear. That's the best I can put it as. Correction, one of the owners. He's not the sole owner, so they're not all evil. Just a percentage of them is pure expletive.
There we go. Perfect clarification there, Mike. So yeah, so Urban Coffee was just delightful. We spent way too much money in there and time in there, but the pubs in the Jewellery Quarter, like, honestly, they're just great. And I feel like while we were there as well, like all these new pubs and bars and everything open.
Yeah, so what's that one that's like a auction house / art gallery?
Ooh.
Like the tapas type one.
The one I hate because I always feel like I'm way underdressed. It's AR, Ana Rocha or something.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a weird one.
Ana Rocha. Yeah, I must admit, I went in there, had tapas, had a beer, was like, ooh, you can wear the hats. What?
The weirdest thing was that they got you to go inside and drink, and then on the way out you could buy Rolexes, and I was like, how many drinks you got to be able to do that?
Challenge accepted. All I can say is Biatone for the ability to spend money.
Oh, Biatone. Can we just please fast forward out of this weird, horrible mare that is lockdown back? We need the Biatone days back.
I've not got that in me these days, I don't think.
You know, I actually I nearly posted the pictures. I didn't actually, Mike. You'll be so pleased. So we found the pictures of our night out with Stuart Langridge and Phil Nash, and like every time I look at them, I forget how like drunk we all were. And I remember that night. It was absolutely hilarious. I mean, you were like bringing over trays of shots and everything else. Phil got lots of attention, didn't he, with his lovely smiley face. And I've got a picture of Stuart Langridge like dancing, having a right old boogie in Biatone.
You do realise if there wasn't any photo evidence, nobody would believe you.
It's true.
Yeah, they're good ones.
They're good. I still might post them. I can't promise that I won't.
And Jim is currently shocked by going, hang on, Stuart dances?
Yeah, but everyone dances at Biatone, doesn't they?
With enough beer Moretti, yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard. You just can't help yourself. There's like I'm sure there was like a woman dancing with like a unicorn hat on, like in circles around the bar at one point. It was just great. Just great. We'll go.
All right. I'm going to wind this back because we're talking about the end of the event, what the traditional end of a Fusion meetup would be, which is one last pint at the studio, cozy, Biatone, or for those of you from Birmingham, Biat One, not Biatone.
Yeah.
But there is the actual Fusion. And right. So if you guys didn't get it from the beginning, Hannah and Andy are evil people. They are recruiters. That's how they make their money. They're not actually evil, but the general consensus. Recruiters. Yeah, let's move on.
We know.
But
World Press Extraordinaire as well.
Oh yes, Andy has become I would say a junior programmer. I'm proud of it.
I'm like a polyglot developer at the minute, doing a bit of JavaScript, WordPress.
You're definitely doing better than some of the agencies that have been employed to help you.
Oh my!
How to cause both people to face palm at once. I have succeeded in life.
Wow. How far into this chat are we? 9 minutes.
9 minutes. And I'm just about to ask the first question, which is, how the hell did you get involved with the community? Because, recruiters have been trying to piggyback and vulture tech communities for years. It's a valid tactic for finding talent. But you never did that. How the hell did you guys get into the community without being dicks?
We spoke about it, I think, without being dicks. I mean, probably still dicks, but
I'm not a dick.
I think every single one that we see trying to do something similar to what we're doing on most occasions. I'm trying to think of someone else that does something similar, but a lot of the time it's always driven to senior level tech. I always see these things like, we're running a CTO meetup, And I'm like, it's so transparent what you're trying to do. You're trying to speak to the decision makers in the recruitment process, and you're aiming it at recruitment. Whereas what we have always said, and what always continue to do, is it's a tech event. Unless someone comes up to me and says, "Who are you? What do you do?" Whereas I'll tell them what I do. We don't ever speak about recruitment. It's always tech driven. All the speakers are tech focused, trying to take that salesy type environment out of it, really. Because I think if we did the first couple of events and we'd gone and tried to get people CVs off them or tried to sell them jobs, that it wouldn't have gone anywhere. That we've always been of the thought of, Hannah was asked to do the events originally in a previous job and was told that to do it that she'd need to fund it herself. So therefore she did. And it's from people, it's from the tech community asking for this to be done because of connections that we'd had in the industry, mainly Hannah at that time, that started it, really. So it's because we've been as authentic as we can be. And if people ask us about recruitment, yes, we do, but we don't actually go out to hunt people down at the events, because we want to make sure it's inclusive and people feel comfortable there.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we entered the whole tech event meetup thing with good intentions, so not having this kind of underlining this is what we're actually going to do, this is where it's going to go. And as Anne said, it kind of stemmed from, I used to go to the pub a lot, believe it or not, with some people who I'd worked with previously, whether they were clients or people that I placed or whatever, and I formed a really, really good friendship with them. And we just enjoyed each other's company, and it was that they didn't know my world as a recruiter. I didn't know their world in as much depth as maybe some of their other friends did as software developers or engineers. But we just really liked being with each other, and we kind of took the piss out of each other's side of the fence and stuff like that. And then with the event, it just stemmed from, should we all just do a thing? Should we just get together after work? I want to speak. These guys were I want to speak. Just put an event on. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about test-driven development. And then there was a tester I want to talk about testers. And then there's a developer who's I want to talk about being a developer and why we're great. So we ended up creating this really fun little starter kind of event. It was the first one. And we had a tester talking from their perspective, someone who kind of sits in the middle as a software engineering test, which at that point was actually a new role. It wasn't really a position that had been created within software teams. And then there was a software developer. So it was just a really, really good, fun chat. And that's kind of where it stemmed from.
We made a mistake having, what was the...
It was Purity.
So we bought loads of these Purity
polypins, you know, those great big
and the speakers drank pretty much one each before speaking. So the talks went on for what, an hour each or something?
They were the longest talks we've ever had.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Yeah.
It was good. So yeah.
But I think going back to the point as well is that I can't think of many. Well, there's obviously a few, but I can't think that of many tech companies, never mind recruitment companies, who have invested so much of their own money back into the community as well. We've supported from the ground up. We've done lots of hackathons at student level, all the way up to School of Code, Silicon Canal,
Hack Friends.
Yay! So it wasn't just this is what we do. It's across the board. We're financially supporting a lot of people in the community, and there's been people who started coming to the very first Fusion events who we've been able to financially put through workshops that we've run as well for free. Mm-hmm. And we've paid for them because they've supported us. So it's a nice feeling when that sort of stuff happens.
Yeah.
But I think that's the overall, because we were investing so much back into the community and we were there in people's faces talking about it. I think there's people trusted us, or hopefully trusted us anyway.
Sound off in the chat if you are there, if you trust Hannah and Andy, because I'm not going to lie, I do. I think Hannah and Andy were the third or fourth people I called in February when I got laid off. That's the level of trust I have in them, and that's not just because they're mates, it's because they are actually good for the community and all that jazz. So that's my 2 cents. You don't have you don't normally have recruiters on speed dial if you think they're an asshole.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. That means a lot. That means a lot. And can I just say, Mike isn't being paid for saying that.
Actually, that's a lie. No, you did give me takeout last time, but other than takeout, I haven't been bribed since the beginning of 2020 for the last in-person Fusion to do anything with Fusion. And previously, the bribery was beer, to be fair, you don't have to do a lot when it comes. You can probably convince me to do a lot with beer.
It's great. It's great.
Okay, right. So you've spent the last, it's like, was it 2014 and 2015? Like, how long ago was that?
What?
Like the first Fusion, like not the first workshop, the first Fusion.
It was 2015.
2015.
Yeah, April 2015. Was it? Why do I feel like it? No, I'm sure it was April 2015. That was in fact, there was like this first meetup that I spoke about with these developers and testers. That was actually like maybe a year before, or it might have been 2 years before, because it was just a bit of a trial thing. So the very first Fusion, like non-Fusion, it wasn't called Fusion, it was just like, let's get together and have a chat and have some food and whatever, was probably about 2 years before. And then we did the first like actual Fusion with all the branding and everything on the top floor of the Big Peg.
Things changed so quickly.
Yeah.
So the one we started, the very first one was like, didn't put any seating out, hour-long talks at the top of an office building, to then get the projector screen for the next one, having seats, and then the next one was the very first one we did at the studio venue. So I had to learn pretty quickly about the event side, because obviously we haven't done anything like that previously.
Yeah, and as you know, it's tough, isn't it? Like, there's so much to get your head around when running the events. But I think with Fusion, it grew really nicely and really organically. Like, it wasn't like apart from going from like, okay, we're at the top of the Big Peg, to okay, wow, now we've got Andy Lowe and Slow, who's just so amazing, to being at studio venues. That's when it kind of jumped so quickly. But in all fairness, it was like, I'm sure the tickets were free. We were like, just come and have free food and free drink, and we'll all just get together and have a great old time. And I know like that side of it is a big part of Fusion.
I can't believe they let you do that money-wise.
I know.
Pay for everyone's.
I know. I don't know how I got away with it. I don't know if I told you I was doing it. I don't know. Well, it happened anyway, and it was amazing. Everyone had a great time.
Well, my question was going to be, that means you have been spectating, and you went from spectating to in the community and like being active parts of it. So you've worked with me at Hackfronts, you've done stuff with Steve from Majestic. You've touched and worked with different parts of the community all over the shop. From you as a non-developer, how has it changed? What is your perspective of it?
Of the tech community?
Of the tech community. As somebody who isn't like me, I'm a dev, so most of my evolution of how the communities have gone has when new tech has stood up, or when a new meetup that's focused on a specific bit of tech has gone and then become a siloed thing and never talks to anybody else because Birmingham. But like, you've had this like overview of the whole thing, because you're not in the weeds with everybody else, like hacking on the code every day. You've got this big picture view, which I think is a fantastic perspective. How do you think everything's changed since you've been actively part of it?
I think from a meetup, and you put a post on LinkedIn the other day, and it's so true. It's like the amount of work that you have to put into these things that people don't see behind the scenes is absolutely. And I can see why people get put off doing it, or just lose interest, or because it only takes a couple of bad speakers and you get some bad feedback by whatever means, by Twitter or whatever, and it's a real sort of kicking the teeth sometimes, because you put so much time and effort into it. So which is why I think Hannah put it out there today, because doing it through the last sort of year or so especially, it's just it takes a lot of time and effort to do it. So
it does.
I think you're right that no one ever spoke to each other. which is what we saw. There's lots of different user groups. Then you had the likes of, Silicon Canal, who are, it's more the sort of business focused type side of things. And there wasn't really anyone speaking to each other. I think it's got better now.
I think it has got better, and I think that the meetup organisers or like community leaders or whatever people like being called, I think I do think, because there's been rumblings of people kind of like trying to get together to support each other more. I still feel like that could probably be like a little bit better. But it's all good and well going, oh, well, everyone's doing their own thing. All the meetups are working completely separately and blah, blah, blah. You have to remember these people who are running these meetups have day jobs. And this is not something that they get paid to do. So it's really, really hard to be able to find time and invest the time to kind of cement these relationships with all these different meetup group owners in the city, and outside of the city. It's really, really hard to do it. So for the people that poke at the Birmingham tech community, and when I say that, I mean the core Birmingham tech community, the people who are running the amazing meetups that are focused, whether it's on a certain element of tech, whether it's more of a generic group, to the people who are running the hackathons, people like to be like, well, there's no community in Birmingham and blah, blah, and no one talks to each other. It's because we don't do this because we're getting paid. We're doing this because of our love and our passion for the tech community. So give us a fucking break and let us work together, and we'll find our feet with it. To have the people jumping over the top and say that they're going to try and sort this out and that's the tech community, I'm going to call BS on that. And I think that the reason why I put that post out on LinkedIn, and I'm really sorry if I forgot anyone, but was just like a massive pat on the back to all these amazing people who have continued to put love, sweat, time, energy into our community to make it great and to keep it going through a pandemic, which is not easy.
One thing I did see as well is just looking at the hackathon side, because obviously majority of the time it's all student based. There's stuff like what we call Brumhack, obviously there's Cov Hack, Aston Hackers, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And majority of the time, the people that we were dealing with, the organiser side, have all moved from Birmingham. And obviously you just mentioned it, Carrie Lawler's tweets.
Kari, she posted something on Twitter about
Sandy Street about people leaving and making sure that we need to focus on having companies and environments here, and
the brain drain is real.
Yeah. So it's making sure these people stay, because there's people like Brumhack, who was Jack, who was there before he went out to San Francisco, and people aren't staying here. And then we get into the point where we see the other side, so we get to sort of the junior, mid-level to senior stage, and people wanting developers and moaning there's no one about. It's because we haven't created the environment for them to stay.
Yeah.
The people want to be in a good environment where there's meetups, stuff going on, there's workshops, there's and the cupcakes return. They want to have that stuff there. So you can't. There's no point. There's no point that moan about not having developers, but are they actually doing anything or giving back to the community to keep people here?
It's surprising that. So there are great companies like Majestic who've been running their partnership program with Aston Uni. Jump, who was hiring people from the boot camps years ago. I think they've still got. Well, no, I know they've still got Chris Miller, who they very new to the community. They even took on a special kid named Jim. Just as FYI.
Who's that guy?
So there are companies that are actively involved, but you're right. There's all these people like Capita going, but all these .NET developers, we're after so many of them. Where are they?
Yeah.
They left. They have no reason, especially in the pandemic. People don't need to be in the city, so why bother?
Yeah,
exactly.
There are some really good companies doing some really good stuff here. Just thinking off the top of my head there, and obviously James popped up. SideTrade is spending loads of money on AI. They've obviously set up in Birmingham, which is great news. You've got some people like Boomin, Purple Bricks. There's some really good success stories. Gymshark's obviously here as well. Which I know people aren't saying it's a tech company, but that's another.
They're a weird space. They're very, very tech focused and tech driven. Their entire business model is built on online sales.
Yeah.
If you look at them and mate, what's the other one there? Is it Lounge? Yeah, that's young people and people in tech are drawn to those companies because they're so successful, and that's an environment which looks a good place to work, and that keeps people here.
Here's a good question that's been thrown in by Ollie. Do you think the post-COVID more communities will stay online and not go back to running physical events? Because I know Hannah is desperate to go for wine with people, and I'm pretty sure Fusion's just an excuse. I personally want to go and I want to usurp Jim and take his job. So, but do you think the other communities are going to stay online? That is a real good question.
It's such a good question. It's a really good question. I think
it'll be down to cost, probably. The game I was going to mention this earlier. When we first set up, or we first started looking at doing a city centre location, we went and viewed library and a few of the places as well. We thought that would be good spaces, and the cost of them is absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
it's flipping prohibitive.
Say again.
It's flipping prohibitive.
Oh,
yeah. So Mike, from Hackfronts, how many venues you've had to look at, and the cost of the venues, and then you think about catering, and obviously, you want to make sure that you're making it an experience for your attendees and stuff. You know how much it is. So I think there's always the element of cost, and
this at a time where the Birmingham Library was struggling to open their doors, and they were quoting something like $7 or $8 grand for a night to use their catering as well. And we were like, well, this is an environment for learning. People are learning here. Surely you want people in the door, but
yeah, it's tough. I think to answer Ollie's question, I think that a lot of people are desperate to get back to the face-to-face element. Yeah, and I think this is more of a social thing as well. And as great as these online events are, and Kumo Space, Brum.js used it and they told us about it and we used it afterwards. And as wonderful as it is, it's not the same as having that kind of interaction with those people. And I think could the community run successfully online by itself? Don't know. I do think they will return back to in-person events. However, I think hopefully what you might find is we might have more event frequency, where people might jump between a small online version, and then next month we're going to be 1,000 trades or whatever, and then people might jump between the two.
I think the thing that might work really well is that some of the small events might work with staying online, because the thing you've got a problem with is if you're going from really sort of different subjects where everyone's not interested in those things in the group, then you're having to pay out for a location and then people don't turn up, which is one of the biggest problems going as well. If, for those really targeted talks, you probably could do things more online, and that opens up to people outside the area to talk as well, more easy than it was previously. For the bigger events, I just don't think it works with if people want to socialise and speak about talks, or they want to see people they haven't seen for a while or whatever, I just don't think it works online a lot of the time.
No.
I'm happy to prove wrong on that. It's just that it's when you're all on Zoom calls with 100 people or whatever, it's really hard to have that conversation, isn't it?
Yeah. I do think meetups as well, even though meetups and you go and you hear someone talk about JavaScript, or you hear someone talk about AI or Angular or whatever it might be. I think it's easy to forget the meetup in itself is actually an experience. So this is an experience of meeting new people. Like a lot of the meetups are doing the food thing now, that like we do the food thing, and we've had music in the past before, and as James Vickery, the cupcakes, we'll come back to the cupcakes. Trust him to have a cake or food related question though. I feel like he's trying to start off a debate about something else.
That's banned. That's banned.
I know it's banned, but I feel like he's kind of lined that up on purpose. He's such a little jammy. I was going to call him a jammy dodger then. I need to get off the cake and biscuits.
Did you skip lunch?
No, you know what? I actually haven't. I don't know why I've got cake and biscuits on the brain. But yeah, I think it's an experience, and I think people want that back. So I do think eventually we'll all go back to it. Whether people will be comfortable doing it though, Mike, is a completely different thing.
Oh yeah, I know you have the grand plan of doing. Is it September?
Yes.
September. I'm already going. It's not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen.
Why is no one?
I think something's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to be that rose-tinted view that you've got going on here. I think it's going to. I'm planning, just in case, to take all the knowledge I've gained over the last year about streaming and stuff to have to do some hybridy stuff, so that people like Stuart, who've not seen daylight unless to get stabbed, can still be involved.
Yeah, it's going to be too difficult when it's so close to the time of the event. I don't know how it works, but I saw the developer they've said they want to run a in-person one, I think, at the end of the year, but I think they're getting feedback from people who attend, which is a really good idea. Because like I said, you don't want to book somewhere and then be liable for the cost of doing that as well. I don't know how it would work. You know more about this, about the insurance side and that sort of stuff as well. I don't know how you'd be like. It's just a minefield, isn't it?
Squeaky bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna like politely ignore you two just for a few more months until I can get like a firmer overview as to whether it's going to happen. In my head, it's still going to happen. No, I don't think we're going to have 120 people packed in a room in September. And I think part of that is COVID. But I do think there's another part of it. I don't think people will be comfortable. I think we've been so isolated and so used to not having such contact with big groups of people. I think it'll take a while for the events to get back up to that sort of level.
That's just like an intro into my life, but she just basically listens to what I'm saying. Does it anyway?
Luckily, you're not on your own there, Andy, because I'm having to be in our organisers Discord. I'm the one that's having to be the grumpy one shouting about swag. Stop!
It's so true. It's so true. But I am aware that I do need. I am aware I do need to be like brought down off my sometimes. So thank you both for being that grumpy old men that I need in my life. Thank you.
I have just noticed now this has triggered a question from me actually, because I'm curious. Right, so Sale is in the Salish is in the chat. He's lurking in the background whilst he's working, as he should. Now that I haven't spoken. This is the first time I've actually humanly interacted with a screen all day. You have the joy of literally watching people grow. So you've not just been dealing with people like me and Langridge and Jim who entered the industry as professionals, and you've just interacted with the professionals. You've been following like the majestic crowd of kids who were coming to the meetup either because Steve pushed them or because they actually chose to, like Sale. You've seen this evolution of student through to professionals and how it's all gone. Do you feel a little bit proud of the fact that you've had some influence in helping these people learn some stuff, grow as people?
Yeah.
God, I've literally never even thought of that.
I mentioned it earlier as well. It's not just the students. I'm sure we won't. Do you mind just mentioning his name? But I'll do it anyway. But this guy called Paul Cruxton, who came to the very first event.
Paul.
No, it's Paul. And he's come to pretty much every single event, and he's one of the guys that we put on like a workshop and on the automation side for testing. And it's so nice seeing people come to that sort of stuff, be able to take it away and then run with it and done really well afterwards as well.
Yeah.
I mean, on the hackathon side, with some of the people we spoke to there, we haven't seen as much because they've gone on to other places all over the country and done different things. But when we get feedback from people about talks they've seen or the workshops we've had, and it's genuinely made a difference, then all the stress that mainly Hannah has over talks or the topics or what, it makes it worthwhile for us. Which is why we put ourselves under so much pressure to not just do the recruitment. We're running pretty much 3 different businesses at the same time, which is just ridiculous. To try and this is not just for us. I mean, if you look at the amount of money that we make from doing the events and the workshops, it's not a lot of money for the amount of work that you have to put in there. This is done purely to the fact to try and improve the talent that's here, offer the options which aren't always available to do that.
I think I never thought though that I never thought of like Fusion having an impact on the student community, like growing through to software engineer or tester or project manager. I've literally never thought of it like that. It's nice. I mean, it's such a lovely thought to think that maybe Fusion has had an impact in their like I suppose professional growth, you know. But I suppose that's what Fusion's all about. Like every single element of Fusion is about giving people the opportunity and the chance to kind of improve themselves, whether it's personally, professionally, you know, on the obviously on the kind of like knowledge side of it with the workshops. I think that's what we want to make sure that we do, is kind of empower and inspire those individuals to go and you can get a better job. You deserve better if you're getting underpaid by 10 grand.
Yeah, some people that think they have to settle for stuff. Yeah, they don't have to as well. So let's go and work out.
Oh
my god! Oh, look at his face. I just missed. This is like, oh god, I miss people so bad. Thank you, Sale.
But thank you.
You do live in Redditch. It's your own fault.
We've had people where they've attended the events, and then through the events they've met people who either we've then hired for their. Obviously, I said if we wouldn't actually go and do that there, by the way. But yeah, they've got jobs from it. They've met people they wouldn't have met before. Some people are nervous about going to those type of communities, and they've felt comfortable coming to these with us, which is another thing that we like to do really as well. It's giving that option to people who, you know, wouldn't necessarily be sort of comfortable going to those environments.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice.
Warm, fuzzy loveliness. Oh, I feel wonderful after that question.
I'm just there we go. Oh yeah. Okay, so do I ask another community focused thing, or do I ask a recruitery focused thing?
So I could bang on about community all day.
I know, but as I said before the stream, I love Andy's anecdotes. Whenever when we were having a chat in the real world, it would always be mild-mannered anecdotes, because it essentially had been like 3 years of rinse and repeat for the recruitment world. From as far as I can tell, since 2016 through to 2019, it was just chugging along for you guys.
Yeah.
Like nothing big had happened. There was no huge changes to how things happened. Last 12 months. If you hear Andy, if we ask the right question, it will be hilarious and informative. But obviously, the right question.
Yeah, I've just turned to a moody old bastard, basically.
Andy, it's not just.
So true. It's true.
Well, no, you were just always Captain Sensible to the maniac next to you.
That's about right.
Well, except for the one night which involved tequila, but we're not going to talk about that.
Exactly. See, I have got a sensible side. That tequila was not me. Thank you.
The tequila wasn't me. Everything else was. All right. Here's a recruitment one, and I think it's a good question to ask. Recruitment is a two-way thing with clients and candidates. How do you create a positive experience? Because, right, I'm currently still fun employed and I'm going through the process. I've done the corporate ones. Pardon my French. They suck. Corporate recruitment is just shoot me in the face with a rather large bullet, please. And then I've also had the other side where I'm talking to San Francisco companies and there is no process at all. It's like, yeah, we're just going to hippie this shit and see what happens.
That's interesting.
Oh God, James has done something to me. Yeah. So how, like, because you're actively part of the process, and the great thing of you want to be a positive impact for the people you're going, how do you help cater that like two-way process and actually make the experience not suck?
Yeah. I mean, this varies across the board still. I mean, you can give all the opinions and the facts that we want to give to clients, but there's still too many that focus on it's us that need to find people, and it's not about the journey of the candidate going through their process. And the best people that we've worked with previously, or at the moment anyway, or previously, is the ones that even if they're not interested after the first stage of these people, there's always feedback. They've always enjoyed the process, and even if they'd got a no, they'd probably come back to them again in the future, or they'd recommend friends to go and interview these places. And that's quick turnaround of feedback. That's the tests. If they need to do tests or coding challenges, run ones that are relevant to what they need to do in the job that they're doing, and honest, quick feedback and going back to people. The ones that, and to be fair, we find that the people, if you're a good developer in Birmingham at the moment, if you're any more than a week and a half, 2 weeks process, then they're gone. And you need to be providing that speed, but at the same time making sure that it's it's that environment that people come back to. Because it might not be right now. We might put Mike forward to a role somewhere, and it's not right for you, right now. But 2-3 years time, if you've not had a good experience with that person, you wouldn't go back. But if you have, then that's another option in the future. I think people just focus too much on it. It's all about the company and what we want, and not about these candidates or people like yourself. Now, I've probably got 5 or 6 different other options. Why are they going to choose you? It's not because you've got a table tennis table and you've got beer in the fridge. It's because you're offering a flexible environment, you're offering training. It's about what you can offer offer people these days. It's not about you find the right person. It needs to be a two-way street.
Right, I'm going to say this once and for all and final, and people are going to judge me for this because I've had rants about this in the past. If you, as a company, put beer fridge on a Friday as a goddamn perk and a reason to join, you're a shit company.
Yeah.
Right, having beer in the fridge and ready there, great, that's a thing. It's a way for people to bond at the end of a long day.
Yeah.
But you point it out as a bloody point of culture. That's not culture. That's negative.
Yeah.
And I'm going to name and shame one right now, and I don't care. Pact can suck one because they've been doing it since I was there, and they wouldn't listen to me.
You know what, Mike? I think that's actually a really, really good point. And it's something that companies, employers, should take on board when writing job specs. Do what you need to do about the role. Do what you need to do about the required skills. I get it. Write about the package, as in salary, like as in pension or like life insurance, not the beer fridge. And then have an additional section for culture. Like talk about what you do as a business to ensure you've got an inclusive, positive, happy culture. Like talk about giving people learning opportunities. Do that, is because, as Andy says, at the moment, and this is only getting more and more of a thing, this is what people are making decisions on when they're joining companies. And I do think companies, some employers are kind of very much like, well, here's a job spec and there's a salary, so that's basically it. That's it. Well, no, there's a lot more to you than this piece of paper that has a list of words on. Like, there's a whole lot more. So talk about it. And in addition to that, the candidate's experience of that company and that potential employer starts when they submit their CV. So don't be a jackass and have them waiting around for like a week for feedback. And you know what? If you're really busy, just say, I'm really busy. I have got your CV. I promise you I haven't forgotten. Like, people get it. Like, they understand. Things come up. Work gets busy. Like, whatever. The candidate experience, and for that candidate selecting you as an employer to come and work with you, starts from the very, very minute they submit their CV. And I think recruitment can, as you said, feel and seem like it's all very one-sided. So it's all the client calling the shots and kind of saying this, and here's a job spec and we're going to assess you. Well, no, in actual fact, it's 50-50 because the candidate is actually assessing you from the get-go as well. So, but be on your A game. Like,
I think it's going to change in the next 6 to 12 months, especially anyway, with people are less bothered about having a ping pong table and more bothered about they want to be home, have a work-life balance. They don't want to be working 10-hour days all the time. There's going to be more flexibility now. If you can't adapt to that, then you're going to be left behind. You're not going to get the best people. We've worked. I can give you a million stories about bad practices. We've had people where we've given a realistic salary expectation to start the process, and then they under offer at the end. Or there's just so many different. It's just, honestly, some of the stuff you see is just ridiculous.
That's just rude.
I know, but then we've had ones recently where they've maybe offered a little bit less, but then they've said, this is the training plan we're going to give you to get to this point, which is probably more than what they're looking for in the first place, which is such a good way of doing things. It means
if you're going to under offer, you at least give a reason and an actual way of improving on that.
Yeah. But, exactly. This is it. Information, communication, like keep giving all of that stuff, because when you get the unknown of, and there'll be a salary review in whatever, like at least it's just like people go in like, okay, hopefully in 12 months time I'll get a salary review, but how are they going to get to that point? Like, what do they need to do?
It's like bonuses. You may not hit them. You don't know if it's going to happen. You shouldn't bet your life on it.
Yeah.
But I think I saw something today. It's something like the average lifetime of people staying in one place is something like 2 to 3 years, and you've got to be thinking, okay, well, naturally some people might want to move on, but in most cases there's probably reasons why they're leaving. And we always find it when it comes to when we get offers for people, there's counter offers and stuff, and I personally take it as a bit of an insult that people will throw money at people when they're looking to leave. If there's something in place 6 to 12 months beforehand where we'll put your training in place and then we'll increase your salary, then fair enough. If that happens when you get to that point, then so be it. But when it's to the point where they've not offered you anything up until that point and then they do it, it's like you're so short-sighted about what they've got in front of them. It's if you train your team, there's less chance of you having to hire continuously to improve it.
Yeah, you should be hiring for growth, not for backfilling.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. That's exactly it.
Oh, that's a catchphrase. Maybe I should join recruitment. Yeah. Oh, here's a good question from Jim. This is a very Jim question, but it's a good one. News travels fast about what companies are you up to in the West Midlands. What do you do if the company you have a retainer with does something that sends its reputation down the pan? How do you not chase them down the rabbit hole of, oh shit?
It's interesting. Well, first of all, we don't work on a retained basis, do we? I think
rarely.
I think one of the things that we try and do, and one of the things that we have done, and to be fair, the meetup probably helps a lot with this, is that the people that we do work with and the companies that we do represent, we do spend a lot of time getting to know them. So we've either kind of like known them previously for a while before recruiting for them, or they've been candidates of ours who maybe have gone into a CTO role or a management role, or they've been referrals from like good friends of ours from the meetup. So again, you kind of like get the gist of what that's all about. And luckily, we've never been in that. I don't think we've been in that situation.
Yeah, we've always said, as a business, we have to walk away from recruiting for people because we don't think it's right or they haven't got a good reputation. Because at the end of the day, if we put people somewhere and they leave within 6 to 12 months, that's not good for anybody. What we're looking for long term is people to stay long term. They move at the pyramid, we then recruit for them, and it's a natural cycle. That and the one thing I was thinking out before coming onto this as well is recruitment's one of these ones where it's a really weird industry where the majority of the work we do is free, and we only get paid when people get placed a lot of the time. And obviously then they have to stay for a certain time period. And I think this goes back to, was it James Caan days when it went from a retained or a higher fee percentage down to whatever fees people are working at now, which is usually probably less than what it should be. And you've got these recruitment companies where it's, if a HR department chose 4 or 5 agencies to work on one role, and then they've got a time scale of being able to get to this candidates first or who are actively looking, and it's all now driven through KPIs rather than quality, and that's been driven because the rates have come down for the work you're doing. And so I understand sometimes when I see some of these junior recruiters come into it fresh face, thinking it's they're gonna make lots of money, and they've been targeted to send 100 CVs, random CVs to people, to manage and stuff like that, or just randomly trying different things. And it's because they're not focused on actually understanding the market, understanding exactly what a company needs, and that's where people get pissed off with it a lot of the time. But yeah, we've always said we'd walk away from people if it wasn't the right fit for both parties.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. It's like Jim's probably put there. It's if we work with a company and everyone leaves in 6 months, and that follows us then for that person's whole career, that we put them somewhere we don't care.
Yeah.
And there are places like there's plenty of Glassdoor reviews we've looked at and thought, oh my god, that sounds horrendous.
Oh, Glassdoor. It's surprisingly, I haven't even done that for any of my research. I just end up asking people.
Oh my god!
We saw some recently who we thought was really, really good coming to work with, and
their Glassdoor was like
there's like
horrendous.
Racist jokes, rape jokes. There's some of the stuff on there is horrific.
Yeah.
Holy moly! How can a company get away with doing that?
The thing is, I know, like, obviously the HR or people teams or whatever are like aware of Glassdoor, and if they're not, and if you are in HR or if you're like head of people or whatever that job title is, you should be aware of Glassdoor and you should be checking on that like regularly. But you've got to kind of weigh up Glassdoor a little bit, because you've got to be like, it's either like a pissed off employee who's like, you don't know what the background story is, but then if you keep seeing the same thing over and over again on Glassdoor, it's obviously alarm bells, isn't it? But it's really important for companies to be aware of their Glassdoor reviews. Well,
just their reviews in general. There's loads of places they could be. It could even be in the Brumtech Slack, somebody just slagging them off. That if somebody, a mentally disgruntled employee, that's a thing. But like if it's happening repeatedly by many people, that's not a great thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
And as Jim just said, the West Midlands agencies are a bit of a rotating door where people are just bouncing from company to company.
Yeah.
We see this, they keep winning like awards, they've obviously paid for, on different award events, and all the
Birmingham Tech Week.
Unless you're actually winning something that somebody's outside the company or you haven't paid for it, it's not really worth anything.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of terrible places to work. There's also some really amazing places as well that we work with. So,
who would you love to work with? Like either CTO or like upper management person or company, because there's got to be a company that like they don't actively recruit often, so you've not had the opportunity to. But who would you love to just to actually work with that organization or person? There's got to be somebody. It's like Jump 24 don't hire regularly, but would you love to work with Noons?
I like Noons.
Just because low expectations.
Oh,
I'm only joking.
Oh, high orbit.
Ignore him.
But like, I personally would love to work with Noons on some of his community stuff, because he's got a great outlook on that sort of stuff.
This is exactly what I was about to say. Like, not hire for Jump 24, but like Dan has got he's a community person, and he's the sort of person that you want in your community. Like, he's genuinely really passionate about it. He turns up to the events. He's on the ball with like what's going on. Brumtech Tapas. Oh, can I just say, looks frigging awesome.
The moment they had Fuck a Wolf, they had my name.
Say that again.
The moment they had Fuck a Wolf, they had my name. Oh, I've still got to actually sign up. I am not signing up to the last minute, so Jim can't win on me.
But yeah, community-wise, like Dan's, love to. So I suppose it's a different question, like recruitment-wise or community-wise.
Oh, I just meant in general, like who would you love to work with? Because you've worked with Steve, and he is Steve Pitchford, who is a wonderful human.
Yeah.
Like, half the time you forget that he's a C-level person in a very well-established business.
Yeah.
You just remember that he likes running used to love running West Midlands Jug and getting involved with people and getting his hands dirty and helping to grow things. Like the first time I killed Hackfronts, he was on the phone to me going, "Now that you've killed it, can you help me make sure that we don't lose the community aspect? Can we run something else?"
Yeah.
I'll
actually just say as well, like, I'm going to come back to Steve because I want to talk about Steve. I'm with you on that. Steve is not the only one who is like, hello, like, can we get hack fronts back, please? So like me, Jim, Andy, I had a little chat with Tom Goodman at the start of the year. Tom was like, can we please get hack fronts back? Like, we need to like nag Mike to get hack fronts back, because it was awesome. And as you say, it was like the OG of hackathons in Birmingham. It was like the one. It was amazing.
I hate the fact that I am now being pressured by my peers on the internet to run an event that caused me to burn out twice in a year and be $5,000 in the hole.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it. I know it's hard. But I genuinely think that like you will make so many people so happy if we see the return of hack fronts post-COVID. Like hack fronts is back. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
You made a point there, which really pisses me off. Is like another one where people like there's not enough people, developers around, stuff like that. Is where you're having to finance that sort of stuff yourself, and it's companies outside of Birmingham. Trying to find sponsorship for stuff like this is so hard. It's like absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I can't even count the amount of fusions where you've had to stump up an extra few £100 of your own money.
Yeah.
Like, admittedly, you can write it off as a company expense for advertising and all that jazz. Yeah. But like, you're still having to go a little bit out of pocket.
Yeah. I can understand, a lot of the time it's going back to people who have the purse strings, who want to see an immediate return of investment for it, which you're not always going to get. But if you're hiring in the area and you're going to be hiring developers and your name's always in the community and doing stuff in the community, naturally people will be drawn towards you. Mm-hmm. But people don't see the bigger picture. And it shouldn't be us as recruiters always putting money into things. We've put a lot of money into Canal School of Code, all the hackathons, all that sort of stuff. It shouldn't be like me and Han doing that sort of money into it. It should be the tech companies. And it's the same ones doing it all the time.
It is. This is where we go back to Steve at Majestic. Like they have supported, like we were talking about, like individuals meetups having such a big impact on seeing people, like younger talent going from students, universities to junior developers to software engineers. That's like Majestic is a prime example of literally playing like the biggest part ever in supporting that. Yeah. Like they're at every hackathon. They obviously support Fusion. So in terms of like who I would just love to work with, like even though like we're working with Majestic, and I know Steve wants to do a lot more stuff to shout about what they're doing, and rightly so. Like Steve is like someone who, like, community wise, I'd just really love to just like work really, really closely with, because I think what they do is great. And they're like at the pillar. They're like at the core of the Birmingham tech community. They are. Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's anyone in particular, or a company in particular. I just think it's anyone that, like, either we know. I mean, I don't know what his name is now. I'll Google his name in a second.
I've actually just been checking how long that Majestic has been sponsoring Hackfronts and Fusion.
How long?
Since 2015.
Yeah.
So, like, for years, Steve, and I think Steve only started sponsoring Hackfronts after he realized it was a thing, because he didn't even know it was a thing for the first year. So, like, I think he's been putting his money proudly where his mouth is.
Yeah.
I think we got, there's people who regularly send people on the workshops we do. They pay for all their staff to come to Fusion. We know they put people through training. I mean, I saw this the other day. We've never worked with Adam Hicks, but Adam Hicks at Iris, I know, gets people in to do talks for his dev team. So people like that, who obviously actively encourage people to learn within the teams. That's the type of people we want to work with.
Yeah. People that get that there's more to, like, being a team manager or being an employer or whatever it is, than just hiring that person. That person sits at desk and that person does job. It's like, okay, like, yeah, we now have this like amazing ball of talent in whatever form it's there, and then you're like, right, what can we do to kind of nurture this talent, to help it, to help like this individual grow? Yeah, and I think that is a really, really good point. People who identify, like Indy at Eurofins, like he's a prime example. Like he brings the team. Indy helps out Fusion.
Like he wears the t-shirt, he drinks the beer, he helps pack up and run. Absolute ledge.
Yeah, he is an absolute ledge, and he's there for every single one, and he always brings his team, and he sent his team on on workshops, not just Fusion, but I know they've done more as well. So I think Andy's right. I think it's people like that.
I'm right. Wow.
No. As far as I can remember, Hannah usually says you're right. She just ignores you and carries on anyway. As we have pointed out multiple times.
So true. So true. You take it on board though.
All right. So we've talked about the companies you want to work with, and all right, this is a one that I raised in our little organizers Discord the other day. And I want to get your perspectives on it because it's really starting to piss me off.
Okay.
Remote working versus working from home. So I've been a remote worker on and off since 2013. Remote worker to me is you do your job, you do your hours, you're into the meetings you have to be, but you don't have to be in a given time zone. However, every godforsaken company is putting, due to COVID, we are remote working.
Yeah.
But you'll be in the office 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference between work from home, which is what the government has literally named the whole process, and remote working?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that as recruiters, we use the term, and I think companies use the term remote working because it's like you can work anywhere that's not the office, right? Work from home is kind of specifically you're at home, so you work from home. Whereas some people might be in different cities or different parts of the UK to where their company is. So they might go and work at those shared offices or whatever. The whole COVID, I think the whole COVID remote working and what's going to happen when we resume, when normal working conditions resume is a big topic at the moment. I know people have kicked off about it on Slack. People are talking about it on LinkedIn. People are talking about it on Twitter. We're having people that we're speaking to about jobs. Like everyone has got, it's a big thing, isn't it? It's huge. So the difference, I think, is just the terminology. I don't think it's necessarily that everyone's like work from home, remote, I just think it's that companies just use remote working when you can work from home. So what they're saying is remote working, but you need to come into the office 3 days a week. So what that might be is that at the moment it's remote working / work from home, same. And then when we're through the pandemic and things feel a bit safer, then it will be 3 days in the week. The other argument on top of that is now are people going to want to return back to office-based work when you've experienced most of the time 12 months successfully of working from home and it hasn't actually affected team productivity? So people are going to be like, hold on, why do I need to go back to the office again? So I think that's like a whole...
I'm probably more cynical on that. I think you're seeing a lot of it. You're talking about from, say, you're looking for a new job and you keep seeing that sort of stuff on job specs.
Well, for me, it's because I remember remote working a few years ago was more like Max Wolf now at GitLab, where GitLab is a remote-first company. Their company culture is built around asynchronous work, so you don't always have to be in the same space to get the job done. But then there are all these companies who put on the specs. It's like, oh, it's a perk. It's remote working. It's not. It's you're asking me to work from home and then come into the office.
Yeah.
And I hate the fact that it seems to be buzzwordy rather than actually what they're trying to do.
It's probably,
I get that.
Me being thinking the worst sometimes as well. It's probably people put it on there hoping that they'll get some remote people and then be like, oh, actually, it's not remote. I've still got your CV to try and find something else in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
There's lots of different tactics, stuff like that. Max Wolf, isn't Max Wolf the guy that
Max Wolf.
I'm sure it was it Brumhack?
The
very first. Was it Hackathon?
It may have been Brumhack because I believe Substract was working with Brumhack at that time.
With Hackfriends, where's the after bit? Was it in the coffee shop?
Yeah.
Yes.
York.
So it's
Yeah, in
Hackfriends.
the basement of York's.
Yeah. So Max won a droid from us.
Potentially.
Yes. He nearly walked away with all the prizes.
He did. I love Max. I'd be happy if Max got all the prizes. I'd be like totally A-okay with that. But yeah, I think on the remote working thing, I get what the niggle is now. Yeah. He's saying like, don't call a job remote when you need them to be in the office. Remote is being you're not in the office and everything is operated from that space that you choose to be that isn't the office. I get it.
How do you feel? We've got some companies we work with at the moment who a remote working majority of the time, but they have to say 2 to 3 days, maybe a month if you need to come in for collaboration, that sort of stuff. Is that still remote for you?
Not really. That's the weird thing, because if it's more the mentality about how you structure, how you actually organize your company to work. If you can't function without that in-person space, are you remote?
Such a good point.
There's still so many companies though that we speak to people both in tech and our friends that don't work in tech as well, who they're still their bosses are still so scared of a remote only environment. They're being targeted or they're being monitored on what they're doing all day, every day. And that's not healthy either. You know, if you're hiring people to work your business, you should trust them to do the work that you need them to do.
You're paying them to do a job. You can fire them if they don't do it.
Yeah. But there was I can't remember which company it was now. It's quite a well-known one though, where the boss was recording people all day.
Oh God, yes, it was all over the news. They were having the webcam tracking and all sorts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just bizarre.
I think Jim raised it as well because he did the blog post for Jump 24 over their onboarding, and then a bit later there was this Office 365 tracking mode.
Yeah, so scary. Like that is, I'm sure that's illegal. I'm sure it's illegal.
It's not. It's workplace. It's monitoring it's classified as monitoring company equipment.
Monitoring a webcam is
creepy.
When it's not in your possession is not illegal.
No, because you're literally checking on company equipment. That is technically legal.
I'll do one of
those. You remember the guy who did a printed copy of himself and stood it in front of him? I just did that in front of the webcam. That's what it is.
Oh. No, I just put one of those little covers on. I'm happy. I'm actually having a depression cycle moment, but I'm happy.
That is insane. That is insane. I think businesses are going to have a lot of, and they should be having a lot of conversations now about what the return to work will look like.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone about it the other day, and I was kind of saying like some people like thrive being around other people, so they enjoy being in an office and they need that environment. Other people just want to get the head down, do the meetings, that's fine, tick the box. Yes, I'm working with a team, but I don't need to be sitting in the middle of an office and spend an hour and a half traveling to work and an hour and a half traveling back. So I can see both arguments there. And I think for businesses, they need to be thinking about, rather than going, right, everyone back in the office. When we're talking about retaining teams and what you can do, and in terms of like looking at people's kind of, how, like productivity and how do they function best? Like what environment are they happy in? I think this is a really key thing that businesses need to be doing now. Have those, or team managers even, have those conversations with the people that are reporting to you. How have you found the last 12 months? Have you enjoyed it? Would you, if there was an opportunity would you like this role to be fully remote now for you? Would you like a bit of a hybrid role where you are in the office maybe 2 days a week, or, we have set days? Or I think companies need to be having these conversations with their employees now, because you don't want to hit September. Let's just say, for example, September. It's not because I'm planning Fusion. Let's just say that September is the month when everything returns back to normal. Fusion might happen, but let's say we hit September and everyone's like, right, okay, great, back to the office, and next thing you know, you've literally got some of the core members of your team flying their CVs out the window because they don't want to be in the office anymore. Like, they've had a taste of having that, of not having that journey. They've had a taste of, having like a better work-life balance. And they can see that it's been working while they work from home. It's been successful. So they're like, hold on, why am I going to the office? Have those conversations now, because when you do hit September, you don't want to be losing the core people, because they're like, oh, F this, I'm going to go and find a company who have gone, great, we're going to listen to our employees and see how they want to work. We've
had clients who, I know some businesses can be stuck because they're paying or stuck in big rents. They're paying for their offices or they've bought the buildings, whatever. So they want to see return investment in that. A lot of the people we're speaking to who are maybe hiring somewhere are downscaling massively on their spend for city centre offices, which are ridiculous anyway. Having somewhere which is like a meet place for people to collaborate when they want to do, and then the rest of the time is work from home. But it's going to be a mixture of the two. When I first went to work from home, I found it really hard. I remember at the time, we were living in Harwell at the time, and there was like a big glass window with people walking past, and I was just like, please talk to me, because this is just ridiculous. So I can understand from both sides. You have to get a mix of the two, really, aren't you? But I'm finding majority of the developers I'm speaking to at the moment all want to be remote working.
I have a weird thing. I want to be remote so I can crack on with my stuff, but nothing replaces building trust and responsibility with a team, and even just fixing ideas with a big whiteboard moment.
Yeah.
You can't really replace that with online stuff.
Does that work remotely, Mike? I'm only asking because I've never done that. Have you, or has anyone tried to do that during the pandemic?
Yes, and you know what? Bloody sucks.
Did it?
Yeah. No, I've been waiting for the ability to join a remote company and go for an all hands where you get people together to then do it properly. Because the remote attempts, just by the time they do it, with all the time zone changes and stuff between people. So my last job was US and Israel time zones. Half the people had checked out for the day by the time you were doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like when you're going to a meetup or doing something in the evening, you've had a full day of work, but you're looking forward to this thing. So you get a little bit hyped.
Yeah.
But no, you're just in for this because otherwise HR is going to give you a telling off if you don't turn up.
Yeah.
So.
It's crap. Something like that is crap, really, because you've obviously, that environment, we're talking about getting the best of people, and people thrive in different environments. Doing a stand-up or whatever, whiteboard moment that way, you're not going to get the best of people. So in actual fact, the exercise itself is completely pointless. So yeah, there's stuff like this to consider, isn't there, when people are saying that they want to go fully remote, from experiencing a whiteboard moment and something like that and going, it does not work. I think that's something that you need to consider, isn't it?
It's understanding the shot as well, and understanding the ways of working. But if you're thinking like a Yorks or somewhere now in the city centre, you'd think about increasing where you are and having co-working spaces more, I think, now. And being placed like that, we can have nice coffee and a bit of nice food and stuff like that. I think there'd be more of that rather than the big old office buildings of 7,000 square foot that you've got to try and fill. And because we looked at the city centre with offices and stuff, unless we're getting big, massive, huge spaces, it's not worth it, really.
No.
So yeah, it's
tough one. I'm interested. You know what? I'm just I don't think my social interaction on some things is that good. I put a poll out. I don't know if I worded it right. Everyone was like, "Oh, here she goes again." But I genuinely wanted to know what people's thoughts were on the remote working thing, because three reasons. One, because I'm nosy and I'm interested to see what people's views are on it, because it's such a big thing and it's a big shift in our lives. If you think we've been in this same situation for 12 months, it's such a huge shift to change that. Also, I'm interested to see from a recruitment perspective, what people are going to be looking for in their jobs. I'll just be interested. I want people to tell me all your thoughts and feelings about this topic.
That will lead on as well. So the thing we had before, Jim will say this as well, where we put content out that's relevant to the workshops or the events, and we've done all this time and effort, and we're saying what do you want to hear about? Do you want us to approach certain people in the tech community to get talks off? Nothing. And we put a tweet out saying, because I said about
Don't say the word. He's
Okay.
going to say them. He's
Okay.
going to talk about them.
a biscuit related question, and then there's about 5,000 people come on and start it. I'm like,
Because it's a really awesome question.
Yeah.
That is why.
Yeah, but it's like tabs versus spaces. You don't ask it in public.
The thing is, like, to improve what you're, improve the community, you need to, as an organizer, you need to know stuff like that. So we're not tech at all. Like, I listen to all these talks and I feel so stupid most of the time. It's just like, unless it's JavaScript or WordPress, I'm all right there. But, we need to know that sort of stuff, and that helps improve, again, the knowledge foundation we have, and helps improve the speed.
For God's sakes, the chat's now been flooded with this bloody question. I'm blaming you, Andy. It is your fault.
Can I just say, is it just James Vickery asking the same question over and
No,
over
James,
again?
it's not. It was bloody Jim who started it.
Jim!
The king of heckling me.
The good thing about this is I can say it's a biscuit, and no one can disagree with me on there because I can't see it. I am fully aware it's a cake illegally because I think it's like a whole process or something.
If a form of food requires a legal definition, something has gone horribly wrong.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm just really glad that it got taken to the courts, because people are taking this question seriously, and it's such a divide on what people think the answer to this question is.
Of all the things you can go to court about at the moment, and you think Jaffa Cakes is the most important one?
No, but I bet you having that information on the internet has settled many an argument. That's what I'm saying. That is useful information on the internet. So I think, yes, going to court about cake, Jaffa Cake, biscuit, not biscuit, whatever, is a good use of time.
Should we ask Boris Johnson what he thinks?
Oh God! No, you're not bringing politics into this.
No, it's okay.
Oh God! We've managed to avoid religion and politics, and the Jaffa Cakes make it all fall apart.
Sorry. Can I say one last thing to Rishi Sunak?
Oh, Andy!
That's the last one.
Oh my God!
That's the last one.
I am so glad that this has turned into a podcast eventually. So the bit that will live in infinitum is missing that last bit. Thanks, Andy.
Sorry.
You're not really. I don't blame you, but oh Jesus!
Get it in there, didn't they?
I've just been ruined by a Jaffa Cake. Right. You know what? I'm not going to ask any more questions because we've definitely done the tangential part of off topic.
Yes, we have. And I also don't want to talk about Jaffa Cakes ever again in my life. Ever. Sick of it. I don't.
I am going to ask you is there any stuff you would like to share with our lovely audience now, other than the fusion stuff, the workshops, because I will do that properly at the end with sharing links and whatnot. Is there any stuff you want to share? Any thoughts, feelings that you want to give the community at large at this moment?
Oh, I feel like we've just kind of haven't we, on this whole podcast? So I feel like
that's the whole point. This is why I'm giving you a moment to do a little bit of focused sharing.
One thing I was thinking as well, if there's people who, like me, wouldn't be natural speakers in a fusion environment, who want advice or help, we can point you in the right direction to get advice for that as well. If there's people, this is going to sound really crappy as a recruiter side now, but if there's people in jobs who haven't been treated well or want something new, let us know about that. If there's events or conference organisers that need help in the Birmingham or Midlands area with advice or speakers or whatever, let us know. We can help with that as well. So, we're not wanker recruiters. We generally are, I think, okay people, and we are here to help. So, and like I said just then, if there's topics or there's speakers you want to hear from, we're happy to do the legwork to get those type of people. Hannah put loads of time and effort to get charity managers and people like that. So, if there's people out there you want to hear from, then let us know.
And the next fusion event will be in September, and we're going to be talking about remote working and Jaffa Cake.
Because it will be a remote conference. That's all.
I couldn't help it. Okay.
There's actually
No.
one quick question, and I think if you can give a really quick answer, I think it'd be valuable to a lot of people.
Okay.
How are you finding, and it's an Ollie question again, how are you finding becoming COVID parents?
Oh, it's been, you know what? It's actually been nice. It's been really nice to be able to be at home to spend that time with him. It has been lovely. I know it's been stressful juggling work and home and baby, but I'm sure there's a lot of parents who are all in that same, in that position. It has been. I've loved it. I mean, we did have a 4:50 a.m. start this morning, which wasn't so great. And the 3 hours sleep the other night, that wasn't so great. But apart from that, it's been really nice actually just to be able to spend that time with him at home when normally he would have been starting nursery like much sooner, and we'd be back in the office. So it's been nice to have the flexibility. Yeah, Ollie, thank you for that question.
Yeah, we've been lucky with the help we've had with him as well. But yeah, you can probably see from my hair, obviously I nearly cut desperately, but the amount of greys and how quickly it's going this way as well, that gives you an indication of what the last 12 months have been like. Not like a bad thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I'm now going to share with everybody how to find you, because Hannah and Andy are the owners and operators of the Fusion Group. They do have some support from some idiots in the background with the events side of things, but essentially Hannah and Andy rule the roost and run everything pretty much single-handedly. Mainly, I think the events pretty much single-handedly run by a Hannah being supported by an Andy keeping her from falling over, or turning into a raging ball of I don't want to do this because it's all stressful, and then doing it anyway. So you can find them at on Twitter at the Fusion_hub. And the website, which contains, when Andy remembers to update it on time, details for the events. You updated it 48 hours before last time.
Come on.
Can I just say that was like due to about a week of nagging.
True. I can see that. And then, so the details of the recruitment side, the workshops, and the events, or the future ones, can be found at thefusionhub.co.uk. Now, thank you very much, you two. I'm going to just drop you off the call. Don't go anywhere. I'll catch you afterwards, so I can then do the closey bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Been a pleasure to have you guys.
Thank
you,
Mike.
And then, okay, so the last bit, we actually have a whole bunch of things coming out of Birmingham at the moment, as pointed out by by Jim, I think, earlier. Here is the Brum Tech Tapas, which is happening on, I believe, March 25th. It's going to be the first one. It's going to, I believe the words that Jim gave me were, it's a blend of technology, the arts, and other things, which I'm not going to lie, I'm a cynic. Sounds wanky, but it's Jim, so I believe him, and he's yeah. But then you see the lineup, and it's actually a good lineup. It's Joel Schuper, from the founder of Independent Birmingham, Dr. Victoria Barker, who's going to be talking on creative ecosystems, as a creative ecosystems researcher, talking on that. Fokker Wolf, who is one of my favorite local artists. His political stuff makes me laugh. And if you think he dropped a car battery into a canal, you're a bloody idiot. And then Casey Bailey, who is the Birmingham Poet Laureate. That's like being put together by a tech company, and it's got all of this. It's going to be really interesting, and I'm going to nerd out, but never let Jim know. He's not allowed to know that he got it right. Now, after that, in April, there is some more stuff. There is, and I'm going to share these details now, a couple of workshops being put on by the Fusion Group. So the first one is the building REST APIs with C# and .NET on the 13th, 14th. The link to the Eventbrite is there. You can find it by going to the Fusion website as well. And the second one is pure JavaScript web components on April 27th and 28th. And once again, you can find the details and sign up at the link in the in this message or on the Fusion website. Now, the reason I'm waiting to describe them all to the end is these are both been put on by Dylan Beatty, and he is amazing. I do miss his cowboy hat head. and his mildly infectious, slightly sarcastic upper crust laugh. It is hilarious. So if you want to learn some new stuff, if you're in the .NET world or want to get into it, there is a workshop for you to get started. And if you're into pure web components, so if you're curious about finding out and getting your hands on higher level theory from React or Angular, etc., you can get involved with that. So yeah, right. That is me. That is everything. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I will be next week streaming my normal code stuff. We are going to be done with St. Patrick's Day, and we are going to be building I think we're going to build a multi-user dungeon that people can play from Twitch chat. So you can have a game in the chat whilst I'm building the game. It's going to be a bit meta and a bit weird. So come and have some fun with that. And if you want to be part of the Tech Off Topic podcast, please send me a message via Twitch, via YouTube, via Twitter, email. Well, if you want to have a chat, we'll work it out and we will get you involved. So have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, and goodbye. Ta-da!